Hello all of you. These reviews take a while to make, and there is only so much I can say without talking about the same points over and over again, so I hope I can trim some of these down, but I'm me, so probably not.
Come on down South Park and meet some friends of mine.
Woo! First episode is a good start, thankfully. This one has the boys trying to make money by scamming the Tooth Fairy system, but coming across a rival child gang. Meanwhile, it is questioned how so many teeth can be appearing and going missing. I like Eric saying tits as a way to show excitement. The Anne questioning Cartman's tooth loss is good, until you realise she didn't need to question it because she thinks he lost 112 baby teeth, 15 in a single night. I find Cartman and his mum's dynamic hilarious, and it really just gets better and better as the series goes on for me. I also love how tragic it is for the kids finding out that the Tooth Fairy isn't real. I like how the writers use the innocence of the kids to make up a lot of stories in the earlier seasons, even when the writing isn't as strong. The half chicken, half squirrel with algebra knowledge is the obvious highlight. Meanwhile, a dentist with an actual good plan tries to take down the kids' scam. Oof, been talking about positives too much. Time to tear it down a bit. The beginning of the episode is really solid, but when the mob stuff starts coming into things, I am just not the biggest fan of these types of stories in cartoons. Though I will say this is one of the best uses of mob stuff in a cartoon show I have seen. Cartman instantly trying to have a rival mob and not giving a single shit about the others killing Kenny because of his decisions is great Cartman material. Mob stuff isn't my favourite content in the world, but to be honest, this has some pretty great stuff. Holy crap, I'm still positive. It's almost as if I was looking forward to getting to this season. The biggest flaw I have with this episode is the stupid cop-out with the Kal-El transformation crap, ruining the ending quite a bit for me, and as a result, an otherwise well-paced, funny story.
Billy is in desperate need of a bone marrow transplant, or he will most certainly die. Billy, how much more money do you need for the transplant?
$600.
Louder, Billy, we can't hear you.
$600.
Wow, that's a lot of money. How the hell are you going to get all that in the short amount of time you have left?
Hearing the characters mentioning wanting a Sega Dreamcast ages this episode, but not in a bad way, it just tells me that it's old. The fact that Butters is in one of the first scenes in this episode, and season, is a good start for me. While I might not like it for why I'd like South Park in something like season 10, I still really enjoy this episode, despite seasons 4 and 10 being very different, with season 10 in my mind being what I remember as around the best period for the show.
Come on down South Park and meet some friends of mine.
Cartman gets put in prison for committing a hate crime against Token, except the reason Cartman attacked Token has nothing to do with his race, ethnicity, or sexuality, which I find interesting because Cartman literally does hate crimes against Token in the future. The other boys mostly need him out of prison because his weight is needed to help them win a sled race. Cartman not giving a shit what Mr. Mackey has to say at all, and just going through what's obviously a normal scenario between them is just a great character moment for both of them. The lawyer using Cartman's use of the word black against him is great. The lawyer gets so aggressive about the word choice. It's just a funny moment.
Who is Token?
He's a black kid that goes to my school.
Black? Did you say black? You called him black?
He is black.
Oh, he said it again! Oh? He is African American, and so you decided to pick him out.
I did.
The rage built and built inside your head until it became too much because you hate African Americans!
No, I hate hippies.
The car chase scene is iconic because, god damn is it dumb. I love the jokes where the adults act like stuff is a lot more serious than it is.
Just bring it to a stop and come on out.
Jesus, he's gonna ram it!
I'm really glad this episode didn't focus too much on the boys trying to race without Cartman, because the other boys' story is really weak in general compared to Cartman's inside prison story. I do like how they all bully Clyde for being fat when Cartman's gone. It just shows that even if Cartman is the worst of them all, they're all pretty shitty.
So I don't get to be on the team now?
Shut up, fat ass!
Yeah, why don't you go eat some more pork rinds or something, you fat
Seeing Cartman survive in prison is just a fantastic character showcase of his personality. The worst moment of this episode for me is the boys doing a speech. I can't tell if it's a serious argument or not, but if it was, then I do not like it one bit. It's so basic it fails to break down more than the initial thoughts that would come with the situation. The fact that I can't say 100% if it's serious or not does take away from this episode for me, especially since I'm pretty sure it is serious, and if it's true, then I do not agree with their take on hate crimes one bit. I hate that I'm getting serious in a South Park review, but they tackle serious subject matter, and in this case they were playing it off as quite serious, so it would feel wrong not to talk about it. That said, good moments still come from the hate crime premise, like the irony that the governor won't listen to Token's father because he's black is just that perfect South Park satire. I would consider really liking this episode, however the presentation on hate crime laws lowers my view on this episode a pretty solid amount. Much like the global warming episode, that has also not aged too well, but I'm also pretty sure it's really funny. I like this episode, but the flaw in it is just too big for me to ignore to give it a better score.
Come on down South Park and meet some friends of mine.
Introducing us to Timmy, except not because he was in the season premiere randomly, a disabled boy, Timmy, somehow becomes the big star of a band. Timmy is originally thought to have ADHD though, and as a result, all of the boys get diagnosed with ADHD. Really do not get why they didn't wait until this episode to introduce us to Timmy, but it's not a big deal I suppose, it's just weird to me. Maybe his brief clip in episode 1 inspired this idea. As someone that isn't a fan of Phil Collins' music, I loved the jokes they threw at him. He was also in the last episode a bit. The characters do refer to Timmy as retarded, which definitely shows the episode's aging. However, the fact the teacher is Garrison and doesn't call out this behaviour, yeah, that would still fit Garrison's character now. If anyone has a problem with me using the word retarded, well, I'm autistic and it seems like the word is trying to be taken back by autistic people, which I'm all for anyways. Normally, if one character says something that the world would consider offensive, there's some backlash in the show. And that's the funny part to me, the characters reacting to it. But we don't get that here. It's just played straight. That said, I don't personally find this a big flaw though, since the characters aren't that developed yet, and that's the main issue for me. I just think Cartman should have said it. And then maybe been called out by Kyle. To sum up the actual Timmy band plot, it's dull as hell. I get the joke. I do not find it funny. Just because I find the joke kinda meh, I guess. And it's just because the joke didn't land for me. It's not like I'm offended by anything that I saw, it made me feel nothing. South Park, when a joke fails, often drags down a lot of the episode with it, because it so often relies on that joke to work, and it did work a little bit in some of the scenes. It was just mostly so meh. In terms of the ADD/ADHD plot, it's also quite dull, but I think I prefer it. It's still flawed, as occasionally characters will say stuff that makes it sound like ADHD or ADD isn't real, but at other moments it can be funny and obviously be taking the piss, like the sit down and study moment.
Watch closely as I apply treatment to the first child.
I want a horse, I want a big brown horse with a fluffy black tail with a tiny tail.
Sit down and study! Sit down and study! Hey, stop crying and do your schoolwork!
Take away or add any of the outdated views and terms, and I still think it's dull as fuck. The main reason I watched this episode is just for the Phil Collins jokes. I think it's mediocre.
Come on down South Park and meet some friends of mine.
One of the least memorable episodes of the season, but not outright bad or even unfunny. The Marshes adopt the Quintuplets after their nanny dies, after banging Stan's grandpa. While this is going on, Kenny discovers his singing talents. This is a case of an episode where if I don't have a lot to say, I'm going to try avoid going on and on with nothing to say, like this bit here. There's the occasional funny bit like how the granny dies, and especially how Randy breaks the news to the girls.
Everyone who has a grandma, step forward. Not so fast, girls.
Randy!
Also, the blatant gun in that video is hilarious. Kenny's singing plot is another one where it's another joke I don't find funny, and as a result it drags down the episode as a whole for me, since that plot relies on that one joke. The episode has a weak story to me and is paced quite slowly, but the funny moments make up for it a bit. Overall, I just about barely like this episode. Thank you to Randy for one of the cruelest, funniest moments in the show so far.
Come on down South Park and meet some friends of mine.
Cartman joins NAMLA as a title tells you what kinds of jokes you can expect going into this one. He joins thinking he will make mature friends. This is one of the stories I like from the earlier seasons, because it's before the characters understand how messed up the stuff that happens around them is. So Cartman doesn't understand what he's joined, and it actually makes him feel more like a child, which he is. Meanwhile, Kenny's paranoid about what another baby could mean for him. The episode is pretty damn hilarious, like Cartman with his little person moment, iconic.
I'm 8.5 inches. Damn, dude, this guy's tiny. He must be a dwarf. Sorry, I'm not interested in being friends with midgets. Midgets piss me off. Frowny face.
Cartman getting annoyed that his older friends keep getting arrested is hilarious. Also, the fact that one is Mr. Garrison is brilliant. He truly is one of the worst people to exist. The whole NAMLA stuff is just so fucking gross. And I love how this is one of the few episodes of South Park where it doesn't take the middle ground on stuff. They want to fuck kids. I think it's pretty self-explanatory how disgusting and terrible that is. I love how the episode confirms that Mr. Garrison was in the wrong class and is definitely a completely revolting human being.
What? No, we're the North American Marlon Brando lookalikes.
Oh crap, we've got the wrong NAMLA.
Oh, damn it, I'm in the wrong place.
Cartman trying to get Butters raped just feels like the cruel monster Cartman I like, and it also shows what their dynamic is going to be like.
About it, there is no I in team.
You mean to expect me to go out there and let all those horny old men have their way with my fragile person? Well, just what team is this anyway?
Just go, Butters, we're running out of time.
All right then.
The Kenny plot mostly features a crap ton of scenes of Kenny trying to prevent his parents from having more kids, and while he does torture his parents, well, pretty much just the dad, the episode somehow makes it funny as hell. For the most part, in terms of Kenny as a character, I think him with a plunger is going too far for what I would expect from his character. Yet, at the same time, the episode just kinda makes it work. The scene, similar to Scooby-Doo, is pretty amazing too. The biggest flaw I have is just Kyle being immature as fuck about the dialysis machines, because I think it should have been Stan to encourage him instead, but it is a very minor flaw. This is a fantastic episode, and while it isn't an all-time favourite of mine, I liked watching this episode again more than I thought I would. I really liked this episode. It was incredibly close to a love rating, but it's just not quite an all-time favourite for me, or one I can see myself watching all that much.
Come on down South Park and meet some friends of mine.
Obligatory characters getting obsessed with natural healing solutions episode. Kyle needs a kidney transplant, but Cartman is the only available match in the town, so I bet you can guess it isn't going to be a simple heartfelt yes with no catches. Kyle's mom is a bitch, but Cartman is an asshole. Meanwhile, Mr. Garrison writes a novel. The kids finding their dumb prank at the beginning of the episode so funny is a great start, along with Cartman's ability to sneeze up milk without having to drink any.
You have to be drinking milk for that to happen. Not with me, man.
The highlight of the episode is Mr. Garrison's gun.
I'm not a teacher anymore. I suppose you'll be wanting my badge and gun.
Mr. Garrison, most teachers do not carry a gun.
Oh, so I can keep it then?
That said, Cartman being an asshole throughout is just generally entertaining. Mr. Garrison's side is funny, and his character in general has always strangely been one full of continuity, even when the show doesn't focus on continuity in many other places. While the natural medicine is a typical plot for a sitcom and is dull, the rest of the episode is pretty decent. Nothing I would come back to a lot, but definitely enjoyable. I like this episode.
Come on down South Park and meet some friends of mine.
An episode about racism and the argument on whether old flags and stuff like that should be preserved for history. Can I just say I'm glad that this stuff isn't relevant at all these days and we stopped racism back in the year 2000. Obvious sarcasm is obvious. I like how Cartman joins Wendy's side just to piss her off, and instantly goes to destroying the credibility of the opposing side.
The rest of you go get the goods on Stan. His mom grounded him once for setting something on fire. Let's find out what that something was, and then lie and say it was a puppy.
One thing I love about this episode is how some of the boys genuinely don't see the problem, because they're so pure they didn't see the black person in the flag as different than the white people. I like how indecisive the town is. The highlight of this episode, once again, like a lot of episodes, is Mr. Garrison. This time, him claiming Mr. Hat is a member of the KKK, but he is not.
Mr. Garrison, you're a Klan member?
No, but Mr. Hat is. White power, white power. Oh, you're such a racist bastard, Mr. Hat.
I couldn't care less about Wendy and Cartman. but luckily the main plot is solid. I like this episode, it's solid.
Come on down South Park and meet some friends of mine.
To me, this is probably one of the most memorable South Park episodes, and that isn't a good thing or a bad thing. It's simply one I saw a lot when I was younger, because this one would often be on TV. The boys try to start a band, but turns out they are actually terrible and not nearly as good as Cartman imagines. We also get a Randy backstory here. To me, Wendy's song within this episode is one of the most underrated South Park songs in the show's existence.
And if you all don't like it, I don't give a flying.
Move Along Sir is one of the most iconic South Park lines to me.
So that maybe we'll have a chance to perform in the plaza of the... God damn it!
Jesus Christ, dude!
Oh, God, I can't see!
Move along, sir, or I'll do it again.
And one of the ones I think of the most from the show's history. We get some Randy backstory, and it is appreciated, even if it isn't the best Randy-focused material in the world. The See Ya bit's pretty good though.
And just like that, I left everything. I dropped out of high school. See ya! I said goodbye to my girlfriend. See ya! And I left my family. See ya!
Overall, despite this being one of the episodes I remember the most, I only like this episode.
Come on down South Park and meet some friends of mine.
We finally get a part 1 of 2, where the second part airs after the first. Hooray! It's logical now. After a speech about hell scares the absolute shit out of the boys become obsessed with religion and following the rules. While this is happening, we get to visit hell again. Pretty soon after the movie, this story follows Satan's new relationship and Saddam trying to ruin it for them both. I adore when Saddam reveals how dying in hell works and how stupid it all is.
No, it can't be. You're dead. I killed you.
Yeah, you killed me. So, where was I gonna go? Detroit?
The title of the episode is a pretty big highlight too, as it causes a genuine question that manages to stump the religious characters. Poor Timmy. My favourite bit is Cartman confessing his sins and pissing off Father Maxie into trying to beat the crap out of him.
And then this one time, I was at the park, and the priest was out walking his dog, and I went number 2 on the sidewalk, and then told Officer Barbrady that it was the priest's dog, and so the priest got fined like $100 for not cleaning it up. And then this one time, I put super glue all over the priest's bottle.
This episode is good throughout. Not better or worse, just good. Rating on screen now.
Come on down South Park and meet some friends of mine.
This is the second part to go along with the previous episode. I think it was far too predictable having a part 1 of 2 and then actually having a part 2. When will creatives get creative? I'm taking the piss, obviously, but some people don't understand sarcasm. Stan and Kyle are no longer interested in the church, and Cartman goes all out being a preacher and scamming people using religion against them. Satan and Saddam continue their toxic relationship stuff too.
Die, pussy!
Chris! Saddam, what the hell are you doing?
There! I got rid of the problem for you. Now there's no conflict.
No, not like this.
This is a weird two-parter because it's nothing huge in scale. That's okay. It was an idea that simply couldn't fit into a single episode, and yeah, that's fine. This part is basically the same quality-wise as the first part, even if this one takes a slightly different approach. Though I do find the Kenny stuff dull in this one, I also prefer the Cartman story in this one slightly more than I did in the main plot of the previous episode, so it evens out. I like this episode.
Come on down South Park and meet some friends of mine.
The kids have their mental struggles coming to terms moving into 4th grade, and go far to prevent going into it. All of this happens while Mr. Garrison tries to come to terms with his sexuality. This episode jumps straight in on increasing the weirdness by having a really over-the-top intro. It includes Timmy in a major way in the intro. I've always found that weird. This episode introduces us to Ms. Chokes on Dick. More like Miss Makes Me Sick, am I right? It's great seeing a character who tries to stand up to the boys. Mr. Garrison always felt like he played more along with their shenanigans, with his own shenanigans. But she needs help from Mr. Garrison because her more professional methods don't work so well. I love how Butters proves himself more nerdy than the nerds. Nothing big, but a moment that I think makes him super likable.
God, these guys are such geek dumbasses. I know.
Yeah, they don't even realize that the menagerie originally was the pilot and later got split up into 2 episodes. Is it dumbasses?
I love how Mr. Garrison has almost become a myth. The best moments are Miss Chokes on Dick doing the one in the wheelchair,
One of them is mentally handicapped, for Christ's sake!
Oh, which one?
The one in the wheelchair!
And the very dated moment of Mr. Garrison being fired after he finally admits he's gay. It's just so shitty. I like how the characters end up deciding at the end that 3rd grade was actually pretty shit, after remembering it positively for so long. This is a solid episode, I like it.
Come on down South Park and meet some friends, man.
Cartman gets a trapper keeper that is totally better than Kyle's, but it tries to take over the town and world, so the boys end up getting help from a robot from the future to stop it. It feels more normal when watching it than my synopsis gives off. I'm telling you that in case you haven't seen it. Meanwhile, Ike deals with being in kindergarten, I cannot say that word, with Mr. Garrison. Hey, he did get a job. Demoted in his eyes, but a job.
But it's not a demotion. No, I mean, just because a teacher was teaching 3rd grade and now is teaching kindergarten, that's not a demotion, is it? No, that's right, it's not.
This will show my age, but I don't know what trapper keepers even are. I've never even seen a real one. The best part of this episode is that Cartman's trapper keeper actually has metal blades.
May I hold your trapper keeper?
No, I'm afraid not, Bill Cosby, because it is coded to the prints on my fingers. If anybody but me tries to hold it, big metal spikes come out and pierce through the hands.
Oh, you are so full of crap, Cartman.
Pretty sweet, you guys, getting $100 to play tetherball with some.
Serve! Got it!
Hey, dude, he's running off with your trapper keeper.
That said, I love how disgusted Mr. Garrison is by Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh my God, what is that thing? Children, there's some huge bulbous monstrosity heading for the classroom. Oh my God, it's awful. It's coming for the door. Run for your lives, children. I'll try to fight it off.
That's my aunt, Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh.
The idea of Garrison teaching even younger kids is funny because he's just the worst person. We also see Cartman's mom get fucked in this episode. I like this episode.
Come on down South Park and meet some friends, man.
We get another Timmy episode already, and in terms of what we get from Timmy himself, I prefer this. 4th grade reimagines the miracle worker to be very different. Timmy also bonds with a turkey that is different than the rest, and it's honestly kind of wholesome and nice. I really like the farmer just having to shoot something, and Butters exaggerating how good the younger kids play is. I really don't have much to say about this. I watched it and enjoyed it enough, I guess. I like the episode.
Come on down South Park and meet some friends, man.
One of the most ambitious episodes they have done to this point. Did it pay off? No, not really. I'm sure this is one of those really divisive episodes, but I definitely am not leaning on the positive side. The plot, it's a Great Expectations parody. That's probably the easiest way to explain it. Pip's mum is a bit of the episode I like, and that's just because of her ridiculous voice.
Off your mouth, you bastard! You know where the tailor-spooning nightingale droppings, you metal-pounding fairy! And you, where are you getting job? You're 8 years old now!
For me, the voices basically make this episode possible to watch through. There is a decent amount of humour in here, but this is never an episode I look forward to watching. I had to hype myself up to watch this one again, despite me knowing there would be a few laughs in here. I don't hate this episode like some people, but I don't love it like others. It fights itself in so many ways for me. I don't like the story because I don't like Pip, but the dumb humour works well a lot of the time. I think this is just about mediocre.
Come on down South Park and meet some friends, man.
Cartman goes to fat camp and starts using it to make a profit by sneaking in unhealthy food for the other campers, who are actually trying to lose weight. Meanwhile, Kenny starts doing, well, just about anything for money. Garrison going to the intervention just to see Cartman's face when they tell him he's going to fat camp is hilarious.
All these people came here and paid to send you to camp because they care about you.
Yeah, except for me. I just wanted to see the look on your face when they told you.
Seeing how far Kenny will go for money is interesting throughout. It's some good insight into his character. The fake ice cream truck to capture the kids that sneak away from camp is brilliant. The Chef Prostitute song is probably my favourite chef song because he tries his best not to sing it. My favourite scene is Cartman abusing a kid's addiction into getting him to buy more chocolates while the kid's in tears.
Mr. Candy Bar doesn't judge you, Tad. Mr. Candy Bar likes you just the way you are. Look at how yummy and sweet he is. There you go. That'll just be $4.
Overall, I like this episode. It's consistently good throughout with the occasional great moment.
Come on down South Park and meet some friends, man.
This could have easily been the title for the worldwide recorder concert episode. if the Mr. Garrison plot was the main one. This is another episode where the kids' innocence makes their acts come across as less repugnant than if they fully understood what they were doing and it was out of malicious intent. All the kids in town accuse their parents and adults from the town of molesting them. They do not know what that word means though. The town quickly turns apocalyptic and we follow a new couple to get used to this new form of society. They live in a society. Kyle actually stopping communism in Cuba is just the perfect dumb South Park joke and irritating as fuck that his parents didn't follow their end of the deal. The show using the montage to get rid of the adults is so wrong, but seeing Stan's bit in particular is just hysterical. Following the outsiders is brilliant. It saves so much time following these new characters to see how the whole town has changed, instead of showing every step of progression from the kids' perspective. It's just such a smart narrative choice. I like how when the couple are introduced, it starts as a horror, and it is actually kinda creepy. Kids in horror stuff are always creepy as shit, because kids are creepy as shit. Seeing how the kids run the town instead of the birth givers is great, along with the reactions of the couple. South Park being renamed to Smiley Town and Treasure Cove shows how the kids will never agree with each other. We only get a small amount of the parents' story in this, but it's pretty hilarious. The fact that there is actually a sick fuck within the group somehow makes the joke funnier.
I'll put knitting, sewing. Who's got another one?
Molest children?
No. We're looking for things to do besides molesting our children.
Oh, fishing?
Fishing's good.
The fact that all of the adults get convinced they actually molested their kids is that dumb South Park adult logic, and it's just really funny.
We love you, son, but we only love you in a platonic way from now on.
What the heck are you talking about?
10 days. All of this apocalypse stuff happening over 10 days is the icing on the cake. This is an ambitious, really funny and memorable episode, and while I don't come back to it that much, that is because of the season it is kept within as a whole, and isn't due to the quality of this episode in particular. We finally got one, but I love this episode. I am so glad we finally got into a love rating.
Come on down South Park and meet some friends of mine.
The adults of South Park decide Christmas has become too materialistic, and as a result decide to not buy presents. Of course, the kids don't like this, so the boys try to get the spirit of Christmas to return and get their damn presents. Mr. Hanky has a family now, not a very healthy one. Probably didn't get enough fibre when they were in the loading chamber. That's so funny! One of the first times in the show South Park went meta. This episode showing us the process of the boys making a cartoon to save Christmas. As a big fan of the show, this and Stan doing a Cartman voice are highlights.
You can do Cartman's voice, can't you?
I'm so fat.
You gotta sound fatter.
Yeah, you guys, seriously, I'm so fat, help me out over here.
I remember when I was younger, it was actually the song in the animation creation side of things that hyped me up into researching more about animation, and it got me more into drawing. Seeing how far the animation has come since the original shorts is amazing, because it really is a huge difference, and the style is so much more polished at this point in the show. The Cycle of Pooh is a pretty good song, even if I'm not the biggest fan of Pooh jokes. I did a shitty joke earlier within the review of this episode, but that's just because it felt fitting for this episode. I like how the Cycle of Pooh is not only played for laughs, but is actually kinda the Cycle of Pooh. This episode isn't anything amazing, but seeing the original process of making South Park within the episode is great, and makes up for a lot of the weaker aspects. Overall, solid final. I like this episode.
Come on down South Park and meet some friends of mine.
Now, we get to talk about the season as a whole. I think it's safe to say this is my favourite season out of the ones I have reviewed so far. Lots of likes and a love rating. The first love rating. That's a pretty big deal as far as my reviews of this series goes. The characters are getting better as it goes along. It's becoming clearer Kyle and Cartman have their own back and forth stuff happening. And Stan is more of the straight man character to play off of them, with Kenny being there for a lot of dumb swap-up jokes. Cartman is also getting crueler. His scene in the Fat Camp episode is a perfect case of why I enjoy him as a character. He and Mr. Garrison are just the worst. The animation this season is the same, but like always, more polished, and the final episode showed how far the show has come in terms of their style. The comedy is much better here for me than in the previous seasons, even though it's very much not a timeless kind of season. Hell, one episode is called Trapper Keeper. The stories, like the comedy and the characters, they have evolved. The stories are now much more solid and usually take small concepts and rarely waste a plot, and they allow the characters to have tons of funny moments around it, while the actual plot itself can be funny too. Overall, good season. The first season I can say I think is definitely a good season. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like it. I'm pretty sure it helps a lot for channel growth and to help my videos be seen by more people. Also, please comment your thoughts on the season, because not only does that help me too, but I am genuinely interested in your opinions on this season. That's all for this video, and if you only watch the South Park reviews, then until season 5, bye I guess.
That's not why you pay a prostitute, no you don't pay for her.